Hi there, you're listening to the Practical Stoic podcast with your host, me, Simon Drew. If you'd like to listen to over 200 episodes that were recorded before 2020, then you can head to my Patreon site. It's patreon.com/Simon J.E. Drew. We'd love to have you there, and any support is greatly appreciated. We'd love to also have you on our Facebook community, the Practical Stoic Mastermind. But for now, enjoy the show. Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic podcast. Now, for today's episode, I just wanted to take you guys through a few really exciting updates that we've got coming up within the Practical Stoic community. Because we've been doing some great interviews here, some of the best Stoic minds from around the world, and it's been so much fun, and man, I'm learning so much, and I'm going back and studying those episodes and getting even more out of them, and it's just been such a great process. But lately I've been feeling that there are a few things that I really just have needed to get on top of, because this whole process of jumping 100% into the podcast has... it kind of feels like every week I believe and I lie to myself that the next week is going to be a little bit easier or less packed or, a little bit less to do. But man, I'm just not that kind of person. Every single day provides itself with a brand new list of a million things to do that I haven't done yet. And I absolutely love this. It's such a great process because every single thing that I'm doing, every single thing that I'm trying to work towards here is bringing me so much meaning and so much fulfillment because it has to do with something that is so much larger than myself. And, I really genuinely hope that the value that you guys are getting out of this podcast and the guests that I'm bringing on here, I hope that is, meaningful to you. I hope that it's helpful to you. And I hope that it's playing a valuable role in your life, because that's really the purpose of this whole thing. That I really want to share this philosophy with as many people as possible. But anyway, one of the things that has just really been on my mind has been the fact that I've got so many great supporters on Patreon, and that I haven't been able to really put together a whole system for how I can add the most value to those patrons in a unique way, and giving them something that they don't necessarily get from the podcast. And I think that I've finally come up with everything that I need there in order to add that massive value. And before I go on, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has supported me on Patreon so far, because, whether it's $1, whether it's $50, whatever, it's so helpful, and it really does keep this show going. And it means a lot to me that so many of you do have faith in me as a person, and you do put your money where your mouth is, and you're really showing me that this is something that you want to keep around. So thank you to all of you who are currently on there. But I want to tell you guys about a few very exciting updates in the Patreon sphere, and I'm going to take you through that. But before I do that, I just want to let you know, if you're listening on the podcast, then you can also listen on YouTube, and I've actually got a video here where I'm going through the website. Or you can just jump on the website where you can find all of the information. It's simonjedrew.com/Patreon. That's Patreon. And that's going to give you information about all of the different tiers of support that you can offer, whether it's $1, whether it's $50, whether it's $100 per month. And then it also gives you a full schedule of all of the awesome stuff that we've got coming up within the Patreon sphere. So without any further ado, I'm going to take you guys through and show you basically all of these exciting things that we've got coming up in Patreon. Okay, so I'm going to take you through all of the levels of support that you can offer on Patreon, as well as all of the relative rewards to those support levels. So the first one is going to be Temperance. Now this one basically you can pledge $1 to $5 per month, and you do get access, as many of you will know, to over 200 episodes of the Practical Stoic podcast that were recorded between 2017 and 2020. So seriously, if you just want to pledge $1 a month, it's still supporting my work, and it's still very helpful, and you'll get massive value for that as well. But then the next one, the Justice tier, is a pledge of $10 or more per month. And this one will get you all of those episodes, and it will also get you access to the weekly Practical Stoic meetup via Zoom. And this has just been so wonderful. Those of you who have been attending those meetings will know that we just have such a good time discussing Stoicism and discussing different tactics and tools that you can use to really implement this philosophy in your life. It's a very practical discussion session. And this has just been so much fun, and I've genuinely enjoyed these meetings every single week. And so, for $10 or more per month, you will get access to that as well. Now, the next tier is Courage, which is $20 per month. And this one, you get access to those episodes, you get access to the weekly Practical Stoic meetup, and you also get 3 other extra things that I'm putting in here. And these are what I'm most excited about right now. Firstly, you do get access to the Practical Stoic study group. Now, this is going to be a group session on Zoom every week where we come together and discuss relative books that we're all studying. And I've actually got a full study guide for the months of May through to September, I believe. And I'm going to take you through that very shortly as well. So this is just an opportunity for us to all be reading the same thing and learning from Stoicism at the same time, so that we can discuss ideas and discuss everybody's perspective on what we're reading. So basically a Stoic book club, you might say. The next, you also get access to all of my Practical Stoic notes. So this is notes that I'm taking on the books that I'm reading, notes that I'm taking on YouTube lectures, notes that I'm taking on the interviews that I'm doing with our guests. Because one thing that I brought up at our last Practical Stoic meetup was that, I feel like you guys are getting more out of these interviews than I am, because often I don't actually go back and study the interviews as intensely as I should. So I thought, man, I should be studying these. So I go back and study them, and I've been getting so much more out of these interviews now that I'm actually going back and looking at them and breaking them up into smaller bites. And on that note, actually, just quickly, if you haven't already checked out my YouTube channel, jump on there, because every time I study the interviews that I'm doing, I'm actually breaking the episodes up into smaller bites and putting them on YouTube with the notes below as well. So you can jump on there and see that. Now, the other thing that you're going to get for $20 or more per month is access to Practical Stoic Live. Now, this is what I'm most excited about, and I'm going to take you through all of the guests very soon. But pretty much I've booked in 9 so far of our favorite guests from the show, great Stoic thinkers from around the world. And you will be able to actually book in to come and watch that interview live and then participate in a Q&A after the interview has taken place. So you guys will actually get to jump on Zoom and ask questions from these awesome people from around the world. So that's what I'm most excited about right now. Now, for those of you who are crazy enough to support me for $50 or more per month, and there are a few of you doing that already, and thank you so much for doing that, I am adding a few extra little benefits there, including a half-hour call each month with myself, and we can use this for coaching, we can use this for just catching up, whatever you like. And also, you will be listed in my first book as a valued patron. And this is something I should probably just make a note of. I've basically been feeling lately that, I finally have something that I feel is not only necessary, but also valuable to say. Something that I really feel so strongly that I need to put into a book. And, I got this advice a few years ago from a YouTube video that Tim Ferriss did. He said, if you're going to write a book, then you better have something to say. And I've never felt so strongly that I have something that would be useful to people to say than I do now. And so, I'm already in discussions with a company over in London. However, that's for a different kind of book. That's for kind of like a gift book. And that might be something that will be happening, although we did start those discussions before coronavirus came around. So I'm not necessarily putting all of my eggs in one basket there. But whether I do that first or whether I do my own book first, I'm very excited to be bringing something out, hopefully within the next couple of years, I'd say. Basically, there are a couple of other tiers of support there as well. You're more than welcome to go and check them out as well. But I want to take you guys through the Practical Stoic Meetup, the Practical Stoic Study Group, and the Practical Stoic Live, because these are the things that I'm really excited about right now. So the Practical Stoic Meetup. This is the next month. I'm actually going to be doing specific meetup topics based around helping you guys to really kind of clearly define your own personal ideal, clearly define the philosophy that you want to live by in your own life. And I know that a lot of you have gotten value out of the episodes that I did a couple of years ago around building your own personal philosophy. And I think that this is a great place to start because, as Seneca said, if you don't know which port you're sailing to, then no wind is favorable. So the first session in May is going to be understanding who you are. And this will be a discussion as well. And we base it around a question, which is what has helped you to learn most about your own nature. Then we talk about Marcus Aurelius's ideal analysis, which is something I'm very excited to discuss. Then we talk about writing your own personal ideal or your own personal philosophy, and then the reasons to follow your ideal. So that's going to be the month of May for the Practical Stoic Meetup. Now, we then have the Practical Stoic Study Group. And as I mentioned earlier, I've actually set up a full schedule for our study so that we're all studying the same books and discussing the same books at the same time, starting with the Lives of the Eminent Philosophers by Diogenes Laertius. And this is basically a collection of books where Diogenes is talking about some of the great philosophers of Greece, including Socrates and Plato and Zeno of Citium and Cleanthes and Chrysippus and all of these great thinkers. So we're going to be starting from the very beginning. Then we're going to be learning from the Dialogues and Lessons of Musonius Rufus and discussing that as well. The Discourses and Selected Writings of Epictetus. Then we're going to be moving to Letters from a Stoic. And then we'll be finishing on Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And this is going to take us about 5 months where we'll be really reading and discussing these books quite intensely and really sharing ideas between each other. And the great thing about this, and what I hope will come of these study groups, is that everybody gets something different out of a book. Everybody gets a new idea, a different idea, and a different perspective. So I'm really excited to explore those different ideas that people are getting from these various books and writings. And then finally, we do have the Practical Stoic Live. So this is really exciting. I'm so excited that you guys are going to get to actually jump on these interviews and ask questions. And we're going to be starting this in May with Michael Tremblay. And we're going to be discussing the life and teachings of Epictetus. And then we have Gregory B. Sadler as well, talking about Stoicism and anger management. Then we have Nancy Sherman talking about the life and teachings of Seneca. Then we have an interview with Sharon LaBelle discussing Stoicism and Buddhism. Then we have Harold Kavli discussing Stoic evening meditation. Dr. Kevin Vost talking about the life and teachings of Musonius Rufus. That's going to be interesting because I really haven't done a lot of research into the life of Musonius Rufus. Then we have Aldo Denucci, and we're going to be discussing Stoic communitarianism in Epictetus and Musonius Rufus. And then we also have Sharon LaBelle again. I asked her to do a special session with us just talking about the art of friendship because she has got that down pat. She's just one of the most beautiful people in the world. So friendly, so kind. And she really knows how to be a good friend. So then we also will be finishing, and if you're watching on YouTube, I've got the name wrong here, but I'll be changing that. With Scott Aiken, we're going to be discussing Stoicism, skepticism, and logic. So those are all of the awesome guests that I've got coming up on the Practical Stoic Live. And as I said, if you're a $20 or more supporter on Patreon, then you will be able to book in with those and ask your own questions in the Q&A section. Now, that is pretty much everything that I wanted to take you guys through today. I should mention that those guests who I just mentioned there are not the only guests who I'm going to be having on the show as well. So we are going to be having more people booking into the Practical Stoic Live. But these are just the people who I've got so far. And man, I'm so excited to talk to them, and I'm so excited that you guys get to come along on this as well. Now, for those of you who aren't particularly keen to support me on Patreon, that's absolutely fine, and you should just know that nothing's going to change about the podcast at all. This is just an extra community that I'm going to be putting on my Patreon side and really getting together and learning and growing and sharing with each other so that those who want to learn with me can do so. And man, I can't wait. It's going to be such a great ride. It's going to be so much fun to talk with all of you about the books that we're reading and about the notes that we're taking on episodes and allowing you guys to ask these questions that you want to ask of these guests that we're having on. And I'm just excited for some very fascinating discussions. I'm excited to hear all of your perspectives, as I've been doing with the Practical Stoic Meetup. And I really hope that you guys consider coming on board and at whatever level you feel appropriate for yourself. Now, before I go, I'm sure that this episode would have been a sneaky surprise to those of you who were actually hoping to find some Stoic wisdom, but I haven't left you with nothing because I've put a link in the show note to where you can go and find a quote from Seneca that I've recorded recently and put on my YouTube channel. And this quote has absolutely been blowing my mind lately, and I just can't get to the bottom of it. It's so deep and it's so profound. So I hope that you check that out as well. But otherwise, there will also be links in the show notes to where you can find all of the information that I've discussed in this episode, including my Patreon page on my website, simonjedrew.com/Patreon. And if you are looking to support me, then just go to patreon.com/SimonDrew, the exact opposite of the previous link. So thank you so much for listening to this episode, and thank you so much to all of my incredible Patreon supporters so far. I love you all, and I'm so grateful for everything that you're doing for me and continue to do for me. And I'm really looking forward to building this community with the shared value of sharing knowledge and learning and growing together. So I'll see you there, and I hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and I'll talk to you next time. But until then, hope that this episode and the video in the show notes has helped you to rise to the good life. Ciao. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. If you'd like to stay up to date with the Practical Stoic community and everything to do with this podcast, then just go to my website, simonjedrew.com, and subscribe to the Practical Stoic Weekly, a newsletter that I send out every week with updates and all sorts of great Stoic insights. You can also find me everywhere online by searching Simon J. E. Drew. See you next time.